In my house, Yvonne's name was a kind of permanent echo. It was enough for him to sneeze for my mother to run and prepare him a hot infusion with ginger and honey. If I had a fever, the answer was you'll get over it. Sleep for a while. When he brought home a report card with good grades, they framed it and hung it on the living room wall. If I passed, my paper ended up crumpled among the supermarket receipts. There were never shouts, never slammed doors, never a "we don't love you anymore." Just that thing no one says, but you feel. The absence, the emotional void, the silent message that you were superfluous. I would arrive home from high school and find the table set, dinner served, and everyone eating without me. "We thought you had already eaten," my father would say without looking up from the news. It wasn't forgetfulness, it was a habit. When Yvonne turned 13, they threw him a party with 30 kids, a magician, a fast food truck, and even a virtual reality set rented by the hour. For my 16th birthday, they said happy birthday in passing while my mother asked me to mow the lawn because the guests for Yvonne's cello recital would arrive in half an hour. It wasn't jealousy, it was hunger. Hunger for attention, for recognition, for feeling that for once, I mattered too. When I finished high school, the message was more than clear. Yvonne was going up. I, on the other hand, was alone. He was accepted into a private university. My parents opened a bottle of wine as if he had won a scholarship to Harvard. No one asked me if I had passed. I enrolled in a technical training center. I started working mornings in a supermarket and nights delivering pizzas with a broken GPS and a soda bottle rolling under the seat. I became intimate with shopping mall parking lots. On nights when I couldn't afford gas, I slept curled up in the back seat of my old Cibus Biza, hugging my backpack with frozen feet and mosquitoes buzzing in my ear. The back pain was the least of it. And yet, in the midst of all that exhaustion, in the rawest solitude, I dreamed. I did it as an irrational act of faith. I imagined a future life with a real bed, a job that let me breathe, maybe even a dog that didn't know how much money I had in my account. I didn't want luxuries, I wanted peace. But if success came with it, I wasn't going to turn it down. While Yvonne posted selfies with his university friends, I ate leftovers from the day before in front of a broken screen, trying to stay awake long enough to study. My grades weren't bad, but between the fatigue and the stress, they weren't brilliant either. No one noticed, no one asked. I never expected a miracle. I didn't think anyone would come to save me. But then something happened. One Tuesday, the strangest day of my life. I was in the middle of a delivery, badly parked in front of a dental clinic. I was holding a pepperoni pizza in one hand and a 2L bottle in the other. Then a shiny black BMW stopped behind me. The window rolled down, and I saw a face I hadn't seen since I was a child. "Alvaro," said the man, squinting. His voice sounded like an adult version of the few family photos I kept. It was my Uncle Enrique, the rich one, the one my father always described as the arrogant one, the one who surely cheats on his taxes. I hadn't seen him since I was 12. My parents said he thought he was superior, that it was better to keep our distance. I blinked. I was wearing my greasy polo shirt with the pizzeria logo, a faded cap, and the face of someone who had slept 3 hours. "Uncle Enrique," I replied uncomfortably, trying to balance the greasy cardboard box. Hello." He looked at me, whistled softly, and smiled. "Wow, you've grown. Are you delivering?" he asked. "Yes," I replied. "Just a few hours, part-time job." His smile faded just a little. He looked at me carefully. "Is this your only job?" "I have 2, and I study when I can," I said, not knowing if that was a source of pride or shame. He was silent for a few seconds, then rummaged in his wallet and handed me a card. "Come see me tomorrow," he said. Seriously, I looked at him as if he had offered me a secret entrance to a world I had already forgotten existed. And, for the first time in years, someone saw me, not as a mistake, not as a burden, but as a person. The card was heavy, not because of the weight of the paper, but because of all it represented. Enrique Martinez, CEO, Carver Group. Address: Paseo de la Castellana 52. Gold letters, straight edges, satin paper. I stared at it for hours as if it were a counterfeit ticket to the other side of my life. The next day, I woke up before my alarm went off. I showered with cold water. The boiler had been malfunctioning for weeks. I ironed the only decent shirt I had with a travel iron I once found at an outlet. I put on pants I hadn't worn since high school and shoes that squeaked when I walked. Literally. I took the subway downtown. I was so nervous, I forgot to eat breakfast. In front of the office building, I felt like I had stumbled into a movie of a different genre. Tinted windows, marble floors, real plants. The receptionist looked at me as if I didn't belong, but she was polite. Name: Alvaro Reyes. One moment. She typed elegantly. Mr. Martinez is expecting you. 18th floor. In the elevator, I saw myself reflected among executives with three-figure watches. My shirt had a loose thread on the cuff. I didn't pull it off. I left it there as a reminder of where I came from. When I arrived, my uncle greeted me with a different smile. Not that one of superiority I remembered from childhood. It was a serene smile. He offered me coffee. He served it himself, no secretary involved. I didn't expect to see you delivering pizzas, he said honestly. Your father always told me you were doing well, studying something in computer science. I laughed dryly. I'm in an associate's degree program. I work 2 shifts. Sometimes I sleep in the car, so yes, something in computer science. His brow furrowed. He really seemed surprised. That's what they've done with you. I shrugged. I guess they had other plans. For Yvonne, there was a brief silence. Then he got up, walked to a filing cabinet, and pulled out a folder. I have an internship position for the summer. It pays well. It's nothing glamorous. Spreadsheets, reports, some research, but it's a door. And if you move fast, I can open another, bigger one for you. I looked at him, unsure if I was dreaming. Why are you doing this? I asked. He leaned on the desk and spoke without drama. Because when I was your age, your grandfather never lifted a finger for me. And I swore that if I saw someone in the family go through the same thing, I would do the opposite. I had trouble swallowing, not from sadness, but from shock. No one had ever extended a hand to me like that. I accept, I said. He smiled. Good. You start on Monday, and buy yourself a shirt that doesn't have a pizza logo. We don't do express delivery here. I left the building feeling just as out of place, but something had changed. For the first time, I didn't feel invisible. On Monday, I entered the building like a tourist without a map, wearing the same pants, but this time with a shirt lent to me by Melissa, the girl from the tobacco shop who always gave me a coffee when I didn't have any change. At least this one didn't have any drawings on it. They gave me a badge and a welcome pack. I went up to the 18th floor. The atmosphere was another world. Purposeful silences, people walking fast, desks without breadcrumbs. There I met Luis, my supervisor. He wore perfect shirts and socks with planted designs. I know this is weird, he said, shaking my hand. Your uncle is influential, but here I don't work with connections. I work with results. Okay. More than okay, I replied with an honesty that left me breathless. The first day I felt like an infiltrator. The jargon was Martian. KPI, ROI, CRM, leads, flows. They sounded like Pokemon to me, but I listened, took notes, observed. I stayed late. I watched how they talked, how they dressed, how they made decisions, and pretended not to be completely lost. My uncle would stop by every 2 or 3 days. He didn't say much, just a everything okay, with his eternal coffee. I would reply a new brain wouldn't hurt. He'd laugh. You're already better than you think. And those words hurt more than any contempt, because I wasn't used to them. No one had ever told me, you're doing well. For my parents, the favorite phrase was, if Yvonne did it better, it's because you didn't try hard enough. But there, in that office, with expensive coffee and air conditioning that didn't smell like fried food, something began to bloom. I started to like it, to find a place, and this time I wasn't going to let go. 2 weeks passed, and with them, something broke for good. I stopped feeling like an intruder. I learned the names. I figured out what time it was safest to use the coffee machine without crashing the system. I began to understand how big decisions were built from tiny details. Luis, my supervisor, stopped treating me like a family experiment and started to trust me. He assigned me my first report, a real one, no decorative internship stuff. Analyze a set of data on internal logistics and propose an improvement. I locked myself away for 3 days with Excel sheets, presentations, YouTube tutorials, and instant coffee. When I handed it to him, Luis glanced at it, raised his eyebrows, and said, "It's well thought out, concise. Good job, Alvaro." I went back to my desk and almost cried. Not because of the compliment, but because of what he didn't say. You could do better. Yvonne would do it faster. No one compared me. No one made me feel less. I moved from my car to a shared apartment. Small, yes. With leaks, yes. But mine, or at least partly. A bed, a clean blanket, and, for the first time, a roof that didn't smell of engine oil. The first night I lay in bed, looked at the chipped ceiling, and cried. Not from sadness, but because my back wasn't screaming, because I didn't have to pretend the trunk was comfortable. I uploaded a photo to LinkedIn. Nothing special. Me in front of the computer, wrinkled shirt, real smile. The text read, "Day 30 of sleeping in the car to having a desk." It's not the end, but at least it's another beginning. I didn't tag anyone, didn't mention the company, just a small moment of pride. The algorithm decided otherwise. Hundreds of likes. Comments from strangers. Teachers who never noticed me in class were now congratulating me. A private message from a recruiter. But the message that froze me came in the form of a WhatsApp notification from my mother. "Is it true that you're working with your uncle Enrique? We got a message. Why didn't you tell us?" I stared at the screen. Then another one arrived. "Yvonne is upset. He says it hurts him that you don't share your achievements with the family." Yvonne felt hurt. Of course. The same one who didn't know my name when it suited him. The same one who once called me the cheap version, but now apparently I was valuable because someone else had validated me first. I didn't reply. I didn't know if it was sadness or indignation I felt. I only knew one thing. I had gotten this far alone. Days later, a LinkedIn connection request arrived. It was my mother. Her profile was still the default one, no photo. In the bio, "Proud mother of Yvonne." Not a mention of me. The next morning, I received a message from her. "We are proud of you. We always knew you had potential. Are you coming to dinner on Sunday? Yvonne wants to tell you about his new app. Could you introduce him to your uncle?" There it was. The new way to use me. I didn't reply because, for the first time in my life, I had the power to choose who I let in, and they, no matter how much they pretended, were not invited. The morning I received the email with the subject "Family Meeting," let's start over, the first thing I did was close the laptop. I didn't even read it. Not because I wasn't curious, but because I already knew what it would say. Sugary phrases, an attempt to pretend that everything had been a misunderstanding, and surely a nostalgic mention of childhood. But it wasn't nostalgia, it was calculation. They knew I wasn't the same Alvaro anymore. That weekend, while having coffee at a terrace near downtown, I saw Yvonne walk by on the opposite sidewalk. He didn't see me. He was talking on his cell phone, moving his hands as if conducting an invisible orchestra. The same gesture as always, that feigned confidence that worked on everyone but me. Watching him from afar, I felt something unexpected. Not anger, not sadness, just a quiet certainty. He was still the same. I wasn't. That same night, Mom texted me a short message. "Your father and I thought it would be nice to have dinner together. No sensitive topics, just family. And also, we miss you." I didn't reply because if they really missed me, a formal invitation wouldn't have been necessary. They would have been there when I needed them most. And not just now, when their favors were collapsing like dominoes and they were looking for someone to prop them up. But I accepted the dinner, not for them, but for me. Not to reconcile, but to close a cycle, to pronounce the words that for years I had swallowed with a mouth full of silence. The living room was the same curtains, the same clock that was always 2 minutes ahead, as if that would prevent life from arriving late for them. I sat next to the window with a folder in my hands. Dad poured wine. Mom brought croquettes and tortilla. Yvonne arrived late, as always, with a smile that pierced me like a pin. "How are you?" he asked. "Tired," I replied, but firmly. During dinner, no one mentioned the obvious. No one talked about the lies, about the payments, about the years I lived in the shadow of their expectations, until I opened the folder. "This," I said, leaving the papers on the table, "is a summary of everything. Of the loans, the expenses, the times I pulled you out of the hole, and you pushed me back in afterwards." The three of them were silent. Only the ticking of the clock could be heard. "I'm not here to claim anything," I continued. "I don't want money or apologies that sound like a script. I'm here to tell you that from now on, I'm free, and not because you're going to let me go, but because I decided to let go of you." Dad stood up slowly as if he wanted to interrupt. I stopped him with my hand. "I don't need speeches or excuses. Just understand this. I'm not your plan B. I'm not your safety net. I'm not the brother who keeps quiet or the son who self-immolates. I'm Alvaro, the same one you ignored when I came home soaked after 2 work shifts. The one who slept in the car while Yvonne got a new car. The one who wasn't invited to the birthday dinner because there were only 6 chairs." Mom tried to take my hand. I gently pulled it away. "You can rewrite your story however you want, but don't count on me for the role of the silent savior. My story continues without you, and that's okay." I stood up. No one said anything. Not a stay, not an "I'm sorry." Just the thick silence of those who finally understood that they had lost something more valuable than money: access. As I left the folder on the sideboard. Inside, the last page read, "I'm no longer the one who waits. I'm the one who decides." Weeks passed without new calls, without emails, without olive branches disguised as reconciliation, and it was fine that way. I had learned that silence isn't always empty. Sometimes it's freedom. One night, while walking alone along the promenade with my coat tightly closed and the cold wind hitting my face, I stopped in front of the reflection of the lights on the water. I wasn't thinking about Daniel or Mom or even everything that had been left behind. I was thinking about me, about the boy who once slept in a car and dreamed of his own desk, about the adult who now decided who to open the door to and who not to. And there, with my hands in my pockets and my heart calm, I whispered something I didn't need anyone else to hear. "I'm okay. Not perfect, not happy every day, but okay." And, for the first time, that was more than enough.